Well, here we are on a nice bright sunny day. This is the next in our videos about buying vintage fishing reels. So here we have, this is a Hardy of Alnwick vintage fly reel, and it's called the St. George, and this is a zinc cast reel. It does look kind of rough, but what you've got to do is check for the basics. So if you see here, we have a ratchet that seems to be working perfectly. This piece here turns properly. Doesn't seem to be excessive play in the drum. And if we pull that, they're usually arranged so you pull them towards the handle. This is called a Slater latch, and you can pull that away and you can see it's been nicely greased, and parts at the back there are in pretty good condition. Another thing to look for is what you maybe saw in one of the earlier videos is where the line wears away these posts, and I don't see that on this reel. And it also has a guide for going through the rod, because fly fishers tend to pull their line off by hand. So this, all in all, it has what you might call good bones, and so this is a good reel for renovation. So here's a reel which is probably not good for renovation. This is an Allcock Aerolite. Now it looks very good from the front, although there's a lot of wear on these handle pieces. If you take it off, there's like a wing nut on the front there. Bakelite is a brittle material. It was used in the sort of 50s and a little bit earlier because people thought it was the future, but unfortunately it does crack, and it does lose its finish. Now this is in reasonable condition. If you look at the arm there on the clicker, the ratchet, it is very worn and it doesn't ratchet quite as well as it should. And you can also see evidence here of a repair, which I'll show you in a second. This is very loose, but that can be tightened up. And then we have a problem here where this is supposed to move a little bit, but it's a bit too slack, so that would need fixing. Now then, having to reface the ratchet arm, which is the one I've just pointed you to, that's a little bit of work, and you wouldn't really want to do that unless the reel was worth a fair amount of money. This particular reel is probably not worth a fair amount of money. Bakelite reels aren't really selling. As you can see at the back there, there's been a crack going across here, and it's been stopped with this piece and pinched together with this piece. And so there we have an Allcock Aerolite. Now you can get very perfect examples of these, and they do go fairly cheap, so there's no real advantage in trying to repair this for the future. So this would be a spares reel. Generally, once you've got 3 negatives, it goes to spares. Okay, so what we have here is a Shakespeare Sigma 4.0. This particular reel, this is what they call a gadget reel. It's essentially, they sell these to the middle classes who want things to play with, you know, and it's got lots of little buttons and doohickeys and things that go bang and whiz and what have you, so that people would feel like they've achieved something with their wages and all that kind of thing. This isn't really a fisher's reel particularly, but it does have bearings on it, and it's a river fishing reel, and it does work very well. However, when you wind this reel, you can just see there, you see the drum catching. When it spins around like that, that's the drum catching. So when you take the release top off there, it's hard to see on the video, but that is slightly bent, and that's the reason why the drum's catching. Now then, it may be possible to bend that back, and it may be possible to get another piece off another reel, but that may well write this reel off because it may not be otherwise repairable. Now it's a nice bearing reel, so it could be good for spares. There is a second negative though. This handle is incredibly worn. The way it was put together was fairly cheap. That could be repaired. It's not impossible to repair that, but it has to be said that now we've got 2 negatives on this reel, and it's starting to move towards the parts bin. If I can easily fix that, then it might be worth doing that. The value of Sigma reels is not particularly high, so it may well just be better to sell this for spares at the end of the day. Okay, so in the latest batch we've also got this. This is a nice little Garcia, which has a royal warrant, Now I've checked most things out on this, and it looks like a ball bearing reel, so it turns absolutely superbly and winds, and I believe the arm works. The arm clicks over and back and everything. There is a small problem here, so we've got one negative here, essentially, where this particular item has a crack in the plastic. Now, it may be possible to get a spare part, depends, and it may even be possible to make a brass part cover for that, or something to shore up this piece of plastic. And after that, this would be almost a perfect reel, which would go on for a long time after you know. And it needs a bit of work and renovation on it. Parts need greasing. The push button top comes off okay. There's no sticking on the drum or anything like that. So that, all in all, that looks like a good prospect for the repair. And I think that's probably what we're going to do with that one. Okay, lastly in this batch, this is the second Harrington version of the Omnia. It's called the Omnia Super. The first reel is called the Omnia in English, and the second reel for some reason was called Le Omnia Super. So I don't know whether that was French marketing or what. Now this is a reel which works very badly. They were never particularly marvellous in their day. Collectors like them, and people who have man caves like them, because they're shaped like a rocket and they just look brilliant. And if you take all this paint off and shine them all up with Brasso and emery cloth, they just look like a 1920s sports car, you know. They're absolutely brilliant. The Omnia Super tends to have bad chrome, so if you're going to pick one of these, try and pick one with good chrome. The Omnia, the first one, which is smaller, tends to have good chrome but bad paintwork. So if you're going to do what I just said, then the Omnia is a better choice. This particular reel has poor mechanics. The bail arm flick actually relies on the arm kicking off this fin here on the outside of the reel, which is strange, and in my opinion it doesn't work very well. So there you go, that's a nice old classic vintage reel. They are collected mainly for their appearance in this particular case, but everything on it is working perfectly if you check it out.